All right. And number 4, speaking of a good season for a soccer team, how about a dream season for the Dartmouth girls soccer team? What a story they were this fall.
Yeah.
Dream season. That's
Pretty
mine.
awesome.
I came up with that, didn't I?
Yes, I'm reading your list.
Nice.
So.
We had 3. I mentioned this a little earlier. We had 3 teams make South Finals and fall in them. Westport actually had 2 of them. Their boys basketball team got to the D4 final, lost to Cathedral as they seem to do every year. And the Westport boys soccer team behind Alex Ferreira, who I believe scored 385 goals this season, something on the order of a Google perhaps. You know, they fell in the finals.
I'm glad
also.
I got to see them play one of the playoff games. He is not only when he's near the net, but anywhere on the field, he's got to be one of the quickest footed and minded players that I've seen play high school soccer in the 22 so years I've been covering high school sports. That was a joy.
He scored somewhere on the order of 4 dozen in reality. He broke a scoring record, which had been set since the early 80s of 36 in a season. But Dartmouth girls, unbeaten until their first ever South final. They got blown out that night, but it really was a dream year for them. The one game I'm thinking of, and they beat New Bedford 3-2 in a comeback goal. I know they gave up a lead in one game in the final minute. Remember the opponent gave the lead about 45 seconds ago, went down, scored. You know, it was what they were able to do in a year that they had a largely young defense that was kind of going to learn on the. You kind of looked at it. You looked at it and said, all right, they can see if they're going to come together, see what they'll be able to do. Amy Wheaton, their goaltender.
Backbone.
12 shutouts. 12 shutouts in a 21-game span is absurd.
Yeah.
You know, and she talked about, she was our girls soccer player of the year. She talked about kind of being mentored when she was a freshman at Dartmouth and kind of felt like she had some things to learn. Now that she was a senior, she really helped that team come together. And while they were learning their roles and while they were learning their positions, she was like, don't worry, I'll take care of it back here. And they started the year on an incredible tear, and it never subsided. To reach the heights that they reached in a year that you kind of looked at, they lost, was it Kia Santos was their best player last year, I believe.
Sounds right.
Yeah, what they did was amazing. And there was.
And they did it without some of the best players this year. I remember Andrews was out, had the sprain at the ankle.
Hillary Andrews.
And she came back and scores a huge goal in the comeback game off the bench, because one of the other spark plug forwards, the little Kelsey Leandro is just darting up and down the field on the wing, and she winds up getting crunched in the middle of the field and comes out of the game. She winds up going back in, but while she was out, Andrew scores a huge goal, and they wind up beating Needham. And that was just such a great game by so many players. Gutsy performance, and some of those kids are going to be back. They got some good young ones, too.
Mm-hmm. Well, you mentioned also, as well as Dartmouth girls soccer, you also mentioned the Westport boys soccer, but Westport boys basketball also made it to the South Finals. And that was a team where they were doing a lot of impressive things early in the season as well. They started on a roll that never really subsided either. And looks like they're on another pace for that again this year, too.
No, Scott Boudry he doesn't get a lot of talk in best coaches discussions, probably because, let's be honest, we don't really have best coaches discussions ever. But if we did, I don't think he'd get a lot of talk because Westport plays in the Mayflower League, which is the small league around here. It's kind of the small schools. There's a lot of very lopsided, conference game score lines because you're dealing with schools that don't really have strong athletic programs.
But they do have ringers.
Westport, consistently, when they go into tournaments, they get out there and they hold their own. And that's what was said after that boys soccer final, was that they did nothing to shame themselves out there. And it's not just Alex Ferreira for them. They've got quality players. Is it C.J. Moss, their goaltender? Outstanding. They're a very good program out there. They're run very well.
Boys soccer?
Boys soccer.
Chris Rosa.
Chris Rosa. Thank you.
And
Who has just an absolutely drop-dead gorgeous baseball swing.
We're going to have to edit that out.
This is
I love watching him hit a baseball. It's just amazing.